I've decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this pattern for mine. And the problem you're going to have, or the thing you want to think about, is how the pattern is going to connect. Now, my design right here just happens to be about the same size as the sides. So it'll work if I put one here, and it will connect to there, and on the other side, and so on. But it won't work if I go from here around. It just won't fit. There will be a spot where it's going to come together strange. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to take the pattern, I'm going to go this way, 2, 3, and connect it, and then continue the pattern on here, and then freeform in between using the same style. I'm going to use oil pastels, and I'm going to coat the back of this pattern and use it to trace on there. It's very important to work on some sort of soft material. If you're going to work on the hard table, then the table will scratch the underglaze off of your pot. So you'll notice here I'm working on a old rag. Of course, in a classroom we also have the foam in the back of the room. I'm going to place the pattern on here, and I'm going to use a pencil, and I've coated the back with the oil pastel, and I'm going to use the pencil and put this on here. Now the oil pastel is white, and so when I draw on here it's going to transfer onto the pot. So I'm going to trace my pattern out. You don't have to color it in, you're just tracing. Now that I've traced my design, I'm just going to go in here with the oil pastel to help me see which parts to carve and which parts not to. I'm just going to, again, use this to help me out so I don't get lost when I'm carving. And now I'm going to begin carving. I'm going to use the sgraffito tool. I'm using this one right here. Another great tool that I like to use is this hook tool. I like to use the cleanup tool end on this, but many tools work really well. Okay, now that I have my design completely carved out on all sides except for the very sides, I want to connect this. And if you remember from before, we had a little trouble where this wouldn't go all the way around. And I've already done this on one side, and what I decided to do was just freeform this pattern back into the side using a pencil, and then I carved it out. So as you can see, I just followed this line right here, and it connects all the way around. I just freeformed these and connected them, but you know, obviously it wouldn't work if I just put the pattern on there. It just wouldn't fit. So I just freeformed them, and what I'm using to do that is an ebony pencil. The important thing here is that my pot is at the later stages of leather hard. It's almost bone dry. If you try to do this when it's really leather hard or soft clay even, you're gonna find that you're gonna dent the clay, and it's really nice to do when it's almost getting to the point where it's dried out. And that's actually my favorite time to do sgraffito anyway. So I'm just going to take my pencil here, and I'm just trying to keep that same style, and I'm just lightly drawing the lines. The softer the pencil, the better. Again, this is a Prismacolor ebony pencil. They're great tools to have. Okay, and then I'm going to begin carving. Now I've got most of it carved, and a couple of the keys to a successful project here are, number one, making sure that your slabs are straight and you cut them out and then they'll go together well. Okay, that's key number one. Key number two is planning out your design. I had a plan in my head, and I thought about potential problems before they came up, these sides for example. So you want to think about that before you go ahead and start carving. Just, you know, take your pattern and move it around and make sure that there's not going to be any problems. And if there are, think about it before you start carving. The last thing is the dryness of your clay. That is very important. If you start to put the slabs together when they're too wet, they're going to flop on you. And likewise, if they're too dry, it can be difficult to score and get them to attach without cracking. And same thing goes with carving. If it's too soft, it's hard to carve. And if it's too hard, sometimes this underglaze will chip off. So you want to get that right consistency of leather hard. And that's where if you have questions, that comes with experience. Ask me, I'll be glad to help you. But that does come with experience, knowing when it's right. Okay, now I'm going to do a little bit more cleanup on this. I'm going to wait, again, the dryness is important. I'm going to wait till it dries out a little bit more. And I found that it's a little easier to clean up some of these lines and get them really sharp when it's a little bit drier. So I'm going to work on that. I'm also going to get some of the inside a little smoother too in some areas. But for now, I'm very happy with the results and I can't wait to see them fired.